Yes, I'd be happy to yield.
Would you say the same is true with 179 expensing and bonus depreciation?
It's a difficult angle. There's some clear benefits of Section 179 that businesses don't have to keep paper track of depreciation of the property. They write it off all at once. That is a big simplification advantage. However, not all property qualifies for Section 179. Investment in structures or inventory don't. And so again, we're doing a bit of industrial planning in rewarding investment in equipment that does qualify for it over other investments that do not.
Thank you for yielding.
Absolutely. And reclaiming my time, Mr. Rosenthal, I'll move to you next if I can. One of the kind of common things you hear about the restaurant industry is that when new restaurants are started, there's a fairly good chance that they're not going to make it, that only so many make it beyond a certain year and that sort of thing. And how much of the challenge that a new restaurateur, or perhaps even somebody that's been in business for a number of years, how much of a challenge is the dealing with the paperwork that's involved, the red tape, an outside force telling you what wages you have to charge when we say minimum wage is going to be this, that, or the other thing, and various governmental involvement in your business? How significant is that in the whole success or failure of a restaurant?
Well, we're in a business that the mortality rate for restaurants, unfortunately, is very high, and there are many reasons for that. But over the last decade, and I've been doing this for over 4 decades, so over the last decade, the paperwork, the administrative level of trying to maintain compliance has gotten so out of hand. To give you an example, we have an employee who, a very qualified employee who does nothing but work on I-9s. Handles our I-9 compliancy issues because this is a major issue today. And we pay about $50,000 a year in benefits for someone to do nothing but handle our I-9s. We have about 600 employees. We, like most restaurants, are turning about twice a year, so we have a ton of this coming through. And we have begged for a better system, a system where we can get online and qualify people without us having to do all these paperwork, faxing, refaxing, and one example. Additionally, you're right, all of the paperwork utilized for compliancy with tip reporting has become onerous to a point that we've had to actually invest in a computer system that will ensure that tips are declared properly and spread properly, and we have a human resources person that handles basically our tipped employee wages, and that's all they do. So the administrative level of handling not only the paperwork but the people in there and the qualified people to do these jobs. Additionally, we are faced with all of our businesses are operated as separate corporations. So for many reasons, they may have another investor or someone else in there, so they're set up separately, which means we now operate 7 businesses, including the property, which means we have 7 federal and state tax returns. And our accounting bills have gotten to a point that we don't have a general manager making what our accountants get paid a year to handle our taxes. So a long answer to a short question, but the answer is it's become very and getting worse every day as new regs come in, the health department regs, trans fat bans, menu labeling. It goes on and on and on to a point in a narrow margin business. You begin to wonder, many operators begin to wonder, is it really worth it? Is it worth expanding?
Thank you very much. And finally, Mr. Greenblatt, I think one of the main points that you emphasized was the importance of making the tax cuts that were already passed, the capital gains tax relief, the marginal rates across the board, all of the above, make them permanent. That's one of the main things that we could do. You also talked about how many business owners aren't really taking a whole lot out of the company. They're plowing it back in the business. So whereas it may look like they're rich people, wealthy people who some would argue deserve to be taxed more, in reality, by plowing it back into the business, they're growing that business and hiring a whole lot of other folks, giving them a job. Is that a fairly accurate portrayal that I just made, and would you like to expound upon that?
I think you summarized it wonderfully. We are the job machine. The small business manufacturer, the small business in general, are the job machine, and we're going to get us out of the recession. And as you give us more impediments, it's going to take us longer to get out of the recession. And when you tax us, we're less prone to reinvest back in the company. We're going to be less competitive, and we're going to lose more jobs to China. We're going to lose more jobs to some of these other countries. So the way for us to get motivated and to start hiring again is to let us reinvest back in the company and grow the company, and that's our future.
Okay. Thank you very much.